Hey, welcome to Knowables. Imagine stepping onto a creepy abandoned island not far from the bustling streets of Mexico City. But as you approach, something feels off. Instead of the typical sounds of birds chirping or the rustling of leaves, you're greeted by hundreds of pairs of lifeless eyes staring back at you. Dolls. Dolls of all shapes and sizes, missing limbs and with hollow, faded eyes. Dolls covered in dirt, grime, and cobwebs, hanging from trees, nailed to posts, scattered along the ground. Welcome to La Isla de las Muñecas, or as it's known in English, the Island of Dolls, a place shrouded in mystery, tragedy, and for many, unspeakable horror. Before we dive deeper into the bizarre history of this haunted island, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss more stories like this one, or who knows, one of these creepy dolls might just find its way into your dreams tonight. Now, to truly understand the eerie allure of this island, we have to go back to the beginning, where myth, tragedy, and reality collide. Located in the Xochimilco canals of Mexico City, La Isla de las Muñecas wasn't always the chilling tourist attraction it is today. The island was originally nothing more than a small, peaceful piece of land owned by a man named Don Julian Santana Barrera. In the 1950s, Don Julian, for reasons known only to him, decided to leave his family and live in isolation on this remote island. The haunting story begins when Don Julian claimed to have found the body of a young girl who had drowned in the canals surrounding his island. According to legend, not long after discovering the girl's body, Don Julian came across a doll floating in the water, presumably belonging to the girl. Grief-stricken and haunted by the tragedy, Don Julian hung the doll in a tree as a sign of respect, hoping to appease the girl's spirit. But this one act, intended to honor the lost soul, was only the beginning. Don Julian quickly became obsessed with the belief that the girl's spirit was still lingering on the island. And worse, she wasn't alone. He believed that her ghost, along with other restless spirits, haunted the island. The more he felt their presence, the more frightened he became. He began collecting dolls, hundreds of dolls, and hanging them around the island, believing this would protect him and the island from the restless spirits that roamed the area. For decades, Don Julian continued his bizarre ritual, collecting discarded dolls from garbage dumps, trading produce from his garden for dolls, or accepting donations from visitors who dared to explore the island. As time passed, the collection grew. Dolls hung from trees, nailed to walls, and scattered across the ground, all in varying stages of decay. Their lifeless eyes seemed to follow anyone who dared to walk by, creating an overwhelming sense of being watched. But for Don Julian, this was his life's work. It wasn't just a collection, it was a way to protect himself from the spirits he believed were out to get him. Some dolls were missing heads, others had cracked faces, while some were little more than plastic torsos. To an outsider, it appeared as though Don Julian had lost his mind. But to him, he was simply trying to survive the ghosts that haunted his lonely sanctuary. As word of the island spread, rumors and legends began to grow. Some claimed that the dolls themselves were cursed, possessed by the spirits of the dead, particularly the young girl who had drowned. Visitors to the island often reported hearing whispers in the night, or seeing the dolls' eyes follow them as they passed by. Others claimed to hear the dolls moving or see them shift positions when no one was looking. Was it the wind, or something far more sinister? The story takes an even darker turn in 2001, when Don Julian was found dead. His body was discovered in the very same canal where he claimed to have found the drowned girl so many years earlier. The eerie coincidence was enough to convince many that the spirits he had tried so hard to appease had finally claimed him. After his death, the island became a local legend, attracting curious tourists and paranormal enthusiasts from all over the world. People were drawn to the macabre spectacle of thousands of decaying dolls hanging from the trees, as well as the tragic, mysterious story of Don Julian. Today, La Isla de las Muñecas is one of the most haunted and unsettling places in Mexico, with visitors reporting strange and unexplainable phenomena. Some claim to feel an overwhelming sense of dread as soon as they step foot on the island. Others swear they've heard whispers and voices coming from the dolls themselves. There are even those who refuse to stay for long, claiming the island exudes a negative energy that's impossible to shake. But it's not just the eerie atmosphere that gets under people's skin. It's the dolls themselves. Time and the elements have taken their toll on these once innocent children's toys. Many of the dolls are missing limbs, with faded paint and cracked faces. Their once vibrant clothes are now tattered and dirty. Some have spiders crawling over them, while others are entangled in cobwebs. And yet, despite their dilapidated state, there's something undeniably alive about them. Whether it's their hollow, soulless eyes or the way they sway in the breeze, there's an unsettling feeling that the dolls are watching your every move. And while many are drawn to the island out of curiosity, some visitors come in search of something else entirely. Paranormal investigators have flocked to the island, armed with cameras and spirit boxes, in the hopes of capturing evidence of the supernatural. Some have reported strange occurrences, sudden drops in temperature, unexplained voices caught on recording devices, or even the sensation of being touched by an invisible force. Others leave empty-handed, dismissing the island as nothing more than an eerie tourist trap. Yet, for all the skeptics who claim it's all just a myth, there are countless others who have left the island convinced that it is, without a doubt, haunted. The dolls, they say, are vessels for the spirits that roam the island, and Don Julian's collection was more than just a quirky obsession. It was a way to keep the spirits at bay. But now, with him gone, there's no one left to protect the island from the forces that dwell there. Some believe that by visiting the island, you're disturbing the spirits who reside there, and the longer you stay, the angrier they become. It's said that those who disrespect the dolls, or take one as a souvenir, are cursed with misfortune. There are stories of visitors who took a doll home, only to experience a series of tragic events afterward: car accidents, financial ruin, even death. Whether these stories are true, or just an extension of the island's dark reputation, one thing is clear. The Island of Dolls is a place that leaves no one unaffected. So, what is it about this island that continues to captivate and terrify visitors? Is it the eerie setting? The tragic backstory of Don Julian? Or is it something more? Something we can't quite explain? One thing is certain. La Isla de las Muñecas is more than just a haunted tourist attraction. It's a place where reality and myth blur, where the lines between the living and the dead become almost indistinguishable. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, there's no denying that the island has an undeniable power over those who visit. It draws you in, surrounds you, and leaves you with a lingering sense of unease that's hard to shake. So, would you dare to visit the Island of Dolls? Could you stand to walk among the decaying figures, knowing that each one might be more than just a simple toy? Or would you, like many before you, leave the island convinced that the spirits of the dead are very much alive, waiting for their next victim? If you're feeling brave, leave a comment below and let us know if you'd ever step foot on La Isla de las Muñecas. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Stay tuned for the next video, because you never know what might be lurking in the shadows.